Hey there, Motivated Code Pros. This episode is called Your Hard Work is Never Wasted. So the year was 1989. I was a young software developer on the AS400 computer system. I programmed in RPG2 and RPG3 and CL, and I thought I was the luckiest guy in the world. At that point on the calendar, IBM had yet to implement a decent search functionality for their file utility. This was a relational database, but IBM had yet to implement SQL on the system. And so I decided I would write this missing search functionality, which, by the way, was way beyond my ability at the time. So after a lot of blood, sweat, and swearing, a lot of practice, late nights and early mornings, I had finally come up with a pretty decent prototype. And I showed this to my coworkers, and they said, "Scott, this is a great idea. You need to sell this." And so I thought, all right, I'm going to sell this and make some money and start a business and ride off into the sunset. So I opened up a P.O. box, which I imagined would be stuffed with checks at some point. That was my fantasy at the time. I opened up a business checking account, put a second phone in my apartment. I did all the things I thought that you needed to do to start a small business. And so then I decided I would place this advertisement in a trade magazine, which, for all you AS400 historians out there, was called Data Network News. The software product was called Hotkey 400. I worked on this through the fall of 1989, through the winter of 1990, and into the spring of 1990. And I mean, I spent every spare minute I had on this soon-to-be software product. And when the product was finally done enough to sell, I placed the ad. And again, I imagined it would, I would go to my P.O. box after the ad hit and it would be stuffed with checks. So the ad finally hit, and I waited for a week before I went to that P.O. box, and I was so excited, and I will never forget this as long as I live. I walked into that post office and to that P.O. box, my heart was racing, and I opened it up, and there was nothing there. I was devastated. I just was devastated right on the spot, crushed and broken with disappointment. But there were two things in the P.O. box, two advertisements from the magazine that I had placed my ad with, and I was really devastated and so super disappointed. I had committed to the ad for a series of months, and I did generate some interest over a period of time. But I was really disappointed. And so my first lesson in the software business was simply that while I might know a little bit about writing software, I knew nothing about marketing and sales. Okay, so fast forward to May of 1990, and I have an opportunity to go on a job interview with a new company. I wasn't searching for a new job. I didn't even want to do it. And one of my coworkers said, "Hey, go on the interview. You might find you have a pretty good deal right here. Or you might find that they have a pretty good deal for you where they are. It doesn't hurt to go on this interview." So I reluctantly went. I don't want to emphasize reluctantly, but I did go. I sat with these two ladies that grilled me rigorously for about an hour, and I can remember thinking through the course of that hour, had it not been for this piece of software, I would never have been able to answer these questions. So I told them the story about the software and how I placed this ad and just all of it really, and they seemed really impressed, and so I felt impressed with the whole thing myself, and they after the interview they left the room. They came back a few minutes later and they offered me the job on the spot. Who does that, right? I was moved by that. They asked me what I wanted in terms of money, and I put the number out there and they said okay. And so I started this job, that was completely born out of what I saw as a failure with this company that was a known company in the area that I lived in. So it was kind of a big win on that level too. And for the next 3 years, they put problems in front of me and taught me to manage people, or put me in a position to learn a lot of management stuff and to work on infrastructure and programming problems and challenges that I never would have imagined before that. So it was a really big deal, and it was really with a lot of heartache that I left that company. Me and my young family decided to leave the state. But even now, looking back on my corporate career, that was the most impactful by far, and really drove and propelled all of the corporate things that came later, and to some extent, the work that we've done in our own company since 2007. So that job, that spot, really, like I said, really powered my career up to and through being a CIO for the last 4 years of my corporate career from 2003 through 2006. So that's a really big deal. Now, fast forward to 2012, it's been 19 years since I left that company, and our sales guy comes in and he says, "Hey, Scott, I was talking with company X," and I said, "Really? I used to work there." And so that was kind of an interesting thing. And I got on the phone with the CIO, and we proposed the project and put together the numbers and things to do this project for this company, Company X, which is the company that I started with after the failing piece of software. There were people that still worked there that remembered me, and so we got that engagement, and that company kept us busy for the next 4 years, 4 and 5 of us at a time. That was a really big win for our very small company at the time, and it was really powerful. And it really goes to, things don't always go where I think they're going to go or where I want them to go, but if I have faith in the process, if you have faith in your own process, things will generally take you to a good place. Hard work is never wasted. So remember, things may not go where you wanted them to go, but they generally take you somewhere positive, and I've really learned to live and believe that. So I hope this was inspirational, maybe a little entertaining and enlightening. So, have faith in the process, trust. So if you like this video and this was useful, please like and subscribe. If you have comments you want to leave about stories from your own life, please put them below, and please keep coming back.